Hey students, my name is Captain Siphon Travers. I'm a fourth-ship flight lead here at Spangdahlem Air Base, Germany. What we're doing out here today is we typically do a field trip for the students from the elementary school on taking them out to a jet and seeing what the actual day-to-day life looks like for a pilot. With the COVID-19 precautions, we're unable to do that this year, so we'll be doing a virtual field trip to bring the jet to your classroom. What we're going to start focusing on is we'll look at these two missiles and how they play in our day-to-day operations. We'll talk to the radar and the engine, how those are key factors in making our mission successful, and then hit the gun on the other side of the jet as well with our sensors. To start, on the outboard stations here, we have what is known as an AIM-120 AMRAAM. It's a medium-range air-to-air missile. It's cued by the radar, and what this is going to be used for is for long-range engagements. So thinking an adversary that you're not able to see outside of your window, something further away that we know is a bad guy that we're trying to attrit at a longer range so that we don't put ourselves in danger by getting too close to them. Similar to that, we have a AIM-9. In this case, it's a Mike variant. It is what you know as a heat-seeking missile. So thinking a little bit closer range, typically something that you can see outside of the window. It's going to look with its seeker here at a heat signature and then have built-in self-track logic to then track after that and hoping to detonate near that adversary and attrit them at close range. With these two missiles here, we can typically load out the aircraft. For an air-to-air picture, we'll have 5 of these long-range missiles and 1 of these shorter-range missiles. For any air-to-ground operations, so thinking dropping bombs or our other primary mission set of SEAD, we'll have 3 of these long-range missiles, still 1 of these short-range missiles, and then with the other spots on the jet to my left that are available, we will load up either bombs or another very large missile we have called the HARM, which is a high-speed anti-radiation missile. From here with the missiles, we'll move over and we'll talk about the engine and the radar. All right, so what we have here is the engine for the F-16. We're a single-engine plane. There's only one of them. And the actual engine is mounted a little bit further back on the plane, but here's the intake. How this is going to work is as you're flying, there's going to be air that is pulled into the intake. It goes through a compression stage, so it squeezes down those air molecules, and then they're lit essentially on fire. That explosion that it creates makes a push forward as is now pushed out the back of the aircraft. So as that happens faster and faster, we're able to push our aircraft faster. Additionally, what we're able to do with the afterburner that you often see on the F-16 is once that those oxygen molecules are pushed out the back of the jet, you're able to light them on fire once more, which makes that long flame that you see with the afterburner. With the GE engine, we're able to go above 2.0 Mach, which is 2 times the speed of sound, and also allows us to pull 9 Gs, which is 9 times the force of gravity. So thinking if you weigh 100 pounds, as you're pulling 9 Gs, you now weigh 900 pounds based on the gravity that's pushing down on you. It's a very powerful and very reliable engine that we use. From talking with the long-range missiles, we have a radar here underneath the nose. What this allows us to do using radar energy is it sends out signals and then looks for reflections. When those reflections hit and come back to the radar, it's able to use a method to find out exactly where that bad guy is. With the radar, you're able to then build what we call a weapons quality track, and then from that known location and altitude of where the bad guy would be, we then can cue our weapon systems, whether it be the long or short range missile or the gun, to then follow up and go to that either dogfight merge or a long range engagement. We'll now go from the radar over to the gun and some of the sensors we have on the jet. All right, so what we have on this side here is the gun. It's one of the coolest parts about the jet and very fun to shoot. It shoots 6,000 rounds per minute or 100 rounds per second if you break it down. You can use it for both shooting air-to-air, so thinking about shooting another airplane or dogfighting, or using it to shoot air-to-ground, so like a strafe or close air support mission able to shoot targets on the ground as you're diving towards the ground. What we have done here is what makes our squadron special as a Block 50 unit. This is the HTS pod, or the Harm Targeting System pod. What this allows us to do as a seed squadron, or suppression of enemy air defense, our main mission here is to go out and find surface-to-air missile sites and then try to suppress or destroy those. What this pod allows us to do is then find the radio waves that are associated with specific systems, and then in our cockpit, it tells us more or less where those systems are, and then allows us to either avoid by staying out of their effective ranges, suppress by shooting a large missile called a harm at them, or destroy them with bombs or other means. Up top, you can see the canopy. It's a very good feature of the F-16. As you can see, there's no obstructions. It's called a bubble canopy. You're able to see all the way around you. Very good feature to have for dogfighting, as you're able to look behind you without any obstruction. From here, you've seen the outside of the jet, and now we'll go and talk to some of the gear that we wear as pilots as the crew chief gets this jet ready to fly. All right, so what we have here is the G suit. Technical name is an A-tags. How this works is it fits like a pair of skinny jeans. So you'll put it on, buckle in, and then zip it up. It'll be a very snug fit. This hose here will then plug into the jet, and then the jet system will pump air into the G suit that then squeezes your calves, your quads, and your ab to help keep the blood from pulling lower. As I mentioned when I was talking about the engine, we're a 9G capable jet, so if you weigh 100 pounds, now you weigh 900 pounds under 9Gs. What this G suit's going to do is then squeeze on all those body parts that I mentioned, and then attempt to keep the blood from draining down towards your feet and up in your head and brain, so you're able to maintain focus and stay awake in the cockpit. From there, we have additionally our helmet. And so what this helmet provides us is, first and foremost, at the top here, you can see this big contraption on top. It's going to be what we call the hemix. So this allows us, with the visor that then folds down, it allows us to put a computer image essentially on the screen of the visor, so we don't have to be looking through the front of our jet to get the information that we need. So there's a projector that is built into this computer, and it puts pertinent data into our helmet, so we're able to look around the jet. We can see things such as our airspeed or altitude, where our friendly teammate is, or where a bad guy is that our radar is seeing. We're able to drop this large computer bit off when we're flying at night, and then put night vision goggles on, which are going to enable us to see a little bit better at night. They're not perfect, but from being completely pitch black to actually being able to see where people are makes it that much easier to fly. Down here we have our mask. So what this is going to do is this hose here is going to plug into the jet for both audio and oxygen that the jet generates. It's called an OBOG system, or onboard oxygen generating system. What that's going to do is, as you get higher and the air gets thinner and it's harder to breathe, it's going to give you normal breathing air so you don't get lightheaded or fatigued. This mask is going to fit pretty snugly, and then, as I mentioned, this hose plugs in with your audio to be able to talk to other people. On the front of the mask here, we have a light, so another useful feature at flying at night. There is a button on the inside of the mask that you can hit with your lip or tongue, and then you have a essentially a flashlight that looks anywhere that your essential mask is pointing to help illuminate all the items, so all the paperwork that we have in the cockpit that we need, whether it's target imagery or things that we need to write down. This lip light is a huge feature that we use, although not talked about very often. All right, so that wraps up our virtual field trip of the F-16. We talked about some missiles, we talked about the engine, radar, the gun, some of the sensors we have like the HTS pod, and then we talked about some gear as well. Thanks for joining us, and I hope this was a good and fun learning experience for you. Thanks again, Magnum.